was gonna do this Gatsby, that shouldn't be too long, but if we just get Marco, we'll be good.
Mark,
Did you make him mad?
Huh?
Did you make him mad?
Who?
John. No, he had to go or something. He's gonna be back
John's coming back, yeah.
if we're still here.
I was thinking, say, let's try and make it where he doesn't make it
No,
back.
that's what I'm trying to do right now.
John was
Okay,
picked up.
let's go ahead and, you won't walk out of another meeting.
This morning at 5 o'clock, feed chickens, not gonna do it anymore.
Okay, the transfer contract for Harts Bluff and Winfield. Mark, you wanna present that, please?
Sure. At this point, we have, the discussions, and this contract that you have in front of you will go out to Hartsbluff and Winfield, but we'd like for you to look at the tuition fee proposal analysis. We've had a fee of $1,068 for the past, 2 years? We put something together showing you tuition limit and percentage of limit, and we're actually asking for our tuition charge for the Winfield School District and the Hartsbluff School District to go to $1,500. And one thing we want you to remember in that, or two things we put, we're still, percentage of our tuition total limit is less than Mount Pleasant. And then also remember that we are the only ones, we provide bus transportation to and fro with a driver, which is about $15,000 a year. So.
Did we go to Winfield also?
Yes. So if you, at least, you can see what Mount Pleasant's charging, and you can see, you know what we have, so I'm just asking for permission to either set that rate, well, we've asked for the rate to be $1,500. And then also in the contract, I want you to know that in the clause where it talks about a special ed student, the tuition rate shall be the actual cost of the special ed student. Well, that is being negotiated by our attorney, who is also working with Harts Bluff. And so we want to make sure that we're protected there as well in case, you can never have this type of scenario. Well, I'm sorry, that child wasn't in special education in our school district, so you're going to have to cover that. No, the child lives in your school district. They are our student, which, our student, and those costs will be shared. And so that's what the contract will reflect.
Is that something we've been presented with?
That is something that is being worked on right now. The state
I mean, have we had this?
well, yes, we've had the issue, I'm sorry, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And what we really need is a way to, what is actual cost, and
Right.
we need to back out, our reimbursement from state, federal resources, and all the possible measures.
And so it's fair to all
So we
parties.
need a definition, and the determination is kind of how to do that, a little bit more technical learning.
And Paola Leon has a 13-year veteran who taught in the class, and she's perfect for this and is going to do a good job.
Here's something I was just thinking about while you were speaking. How many students do we get from Winfield,
Oh,
approximately?
10.
10?
Nine to 12?
No, per year.
No, total, like
Total,
right now, how
9
many?
through 12?
Well,
I'm going to
You
guess.
all know.
Butch, what do you think? 30?
How many ride the bus?
Well, I
How many
just-
ride the bus?
Let's say we have.
I'm talking about how many ride the bus, yes.
That's a full bus.
Oh, yeah, it's mostly Winfield people that.
Okay. Well, what I was gonna say is, we need to have a minimal number of kids that are gonna be riding that bus before we send the bus out there. And that needs to be a consideration as well. Same thing with Harts Bluff. If you meet this threshold, then we'll send a bus. If not,
Say if you
we'll
only
still
get
send a
10
bus, but you
10
won't have to pay.
students at 1,500, you're only paying for the bus.
Or you're paying for the gas,
What
maybe.
I'm saying, just paying for the bus, if
Good point.
bus costs 15,000 a year, and you only get 10 students out there.
Yeah. See what I'm saying?
How long does that run?
Every year.
Does it pick up Harts Bluff and Winfield?
Yes, it does. It comes back. It's
Okay.
packed every year.
It's one bus. I thought it was a bus to Winfield.
At the beginning of the year, I've asked Lee every year to make it count because we get to the point where it almost looks like we almost need to send 2 buses because it's so packed. Once stuff, it alleviates itself naturally, but it's still, it's full every single time they load and unload.
How many kids on the bus?
What's that?
70, 60 to 70?
It's setting down pretty
Ours
good. I
bus
see it.
this year,
Go by it
41
tomorrow.
students
41?
and 33 for Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, and our numbers are growing.
It's
both
70
schools.
something, 41 and
Well, that might
34.
be a separate, something to look at as well.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's an issue now, but it possibly could be an issue, and at $5, $6, $7 a gallon diesel, which is what it'll be in 3 or 4 years, if Obama stays in there, maybe more. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I'm just,
You'll be on CNN.
yeah, I'll be on
You're-
Zoom.
You're being streamed there now.
Mr. President, think about it.
You running? Are you putting your name in the ring?
The recommendation would be for the school year, the rate changed to 1,500 with the understanding that the clause about the actual cost of education for that student would be negotiated. And we would have,
I don't mean, can you reserve the right to up this if fuel costs go up significantly?
Well, you're signing a new agreement every year.
Mike,
Yeah.
let me answer it this way.
I'm
Let me
I'm
answer
just
it this
throwing it
way.
out there.
Let me answer it this way. Presently, we have a tuition limit of 2,464. So we're only charging 60% of that with the 1,500. So I guess you could answer it that way. Right
So
now, for
it's
next,
actually gonna bring in 21 more thousand, by the numbers close to it, 21 more thousand, 21,900 or something like that, huh?
Mhm.
Well, at least you can say that next year, you'll get a few more thousand and the bus paid, transportation paid for, and it's better than this year.
Yeah. Wrong.
But, yes, Mike, I mean, if you look at it in the sense of, we're still not at this, look, at Mount Pleasant at 75%, because their limit is 1,600.
Is Mount Pleasant busing them though?
No.
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 They don't bus them.
And again, this is contingent on that staying the same, that limit staying the
Right,
same.
well,
We
true.
can limit next year, and it could be 1,200, and that could be the much of the charge. They'll redo it every September, unfortunately.
Right.
We haven't had that
Well,
great a
it-
swing, but
It
We had
has,
to go up that
Yes,
much.
we
We
have.
haven't had it
Go
come down.
down.
yeah, well, it has to do with property
What does the limit
richness.
mean?
Richness, is
What
that
was
a
the
word?
limit mean?
that's
You
what
can't
the
charge
state
any more
says.
than
It
that-
is.
Huh?
The
The
most-
state says you can't charge any more than that.
We can charge 24, they can't charge, but
They can't charge at 16.
Right, correct.
Well, I can tell you, if we started charging 24 tomorrow, all their students would be going to Mount Pleasant. If I was on their board.
And what is that gonna change? Is that gonna change anything, Mark? Us going up 300 more, is that gonna change us getting any of those students?
Well, we don't know that Mount Pleasant's not gonna go up too.
It is not paid by the families, it is paid by the district, right, both districts.
As long as they live
They're
in that
taxpayers,
district.
right, correct.
Yeah. Those
Mhm.
kids that transfer in out there and want to come here, they have to pay their own way.
See, but the thing you need to understand is they are still collecting some money on those kids, regardless of whether they send them here and paying the fee or not.
How much do they
Still
collect?
making money on them.
I'm not sure, there was, I don't know if that formula still exists, Jeff,
It got included in this last
it
line.
used to be.
Oh, it didn't
But would you figure they're getting paid that, Jeff?
Sir?
Would you figure they're getting paid that?
I don't believe so.
No.
So they're having to take money out of their pocket to,
Yes,
But they're still getting ADA for kids though, aren't they?
right, no,
For coming here,
They have to be getting something for those
They
kids.
used to get something, there used to be a compensation from the state, but that last biennium,
Mhm.
that was removed. As far as I understand, because
we can check on that, but I
I'll
believe
double
that's right.
check that for you, but I mean, we don't pay it, so I don't really. know that.
when was it removed, Jeff? When was it removed, sir?
I believe it was removed before the last biennium, so the 2 years we're currently in, it was removed.
They
were- Before that?
In last legislature.
So if they didn't have a problem 2 years ago, even though it got removed and they was going to have to pay it?
No,
Evidently
And
not.
there was some, they did mention it, but we never found out afterwards whether they actually took it away or not. It just kept, the contract kept going as planned, so.
Well, we
can
hadn't-
find that
we hadn't
information
raised
out.
What's the benefit, how much money do we get from those kids by the state?
We get.
We get regular
Regular
ADA.
ADA.
Regular ADA.
In how much is that?
$4,800.
$4,800?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're
Plus,
talking 350,000, that brings in roughly, by us having them out there. What is our chances if we lose some by moving this up?
I'm sorry.
I guess I'd ask you, where we're gonna lose them to at one?
Mount Pleasant.
I know, but what's gonna make?
I don't know.
Are you saying that Chapel Hill, Hartsville and Winfield could solicit those students to go to Mount Pleasant rather than come here? Save them money?
They could, but it's not
They
likely
are.
they would.
Could they say?
Could they say they'll
They're
pay the
recruiting.
$1,200 to go to Mount Pleasant, if you don't go to Chapel Hill, you come out with 300 out of your pocket? Can they do that?
They're not allowed to do
They're
that.
required.
So the kids get the opportunity of where they wanna go.
If the parent says.
Then they can't do anything
that's right.
about that.
If
They're
the
gonna
parent
come.
says, I wanna go to Chapel Hill.
They gotta pay to come to Chapel Hill, so, yeah.
Whether they
Then-
encourage them to go to Mount Pleasant. or
Yeah, it makes
things
no
like
difference.
that, but no, they
Makes no
can't
difference.
do
We're not gonna
that.
lose those students, and the ones coming are gonna come where they wanna come.
Yes, that's our condition.
So I really feel like you do about what you want to.
I move we accept the recommendation as proposed.
Second?
I do too.
Second it? All in favor? 100%.
No, we- Oh, okay, okay. I just thought this was FYI.
Okay, transfers, we gotta do transfers in executive. Gatsby, Jeff?
Okay, what I have for you in your board book. What I have for you in your board book is again the PowerPoint we gave you last week, we were here last week, last month. This is just an informational, as well again. What I added this time is a breakdown of what our fund balances are as of the August 31st audit. So that's what they were. We had reserve for fund balances, we have them in two categories, retirement of long-term debt for $132,000, and we have reserve for fund balances for food service of $108,000. Unreserved fund balances, which are designated for self-insurance, are $7,824, and that's estimated on a year-end deal that we get from past workers' comp companies that we were not not fully funded. We were partially funded, and we still owe on claims. And there's a schedule out for what they'll be paid. So this is the amount there. So that's designated. And then we have an undesignated reported in general fund of the $1.5 million that we have. And really, this is what we're talking about. But what I wanted to show you is just as an example, if we didn't change anything at all, this is what those fund balances become under the new guidance, GASB 54. As you can see, reserved fund balances for retirement of long-term debt and food service become restricted fund balances. It's just wording. And basically, that's all we're talking about here, is changing the wording of how they want them designated, undesignated, reserved, restricted. So you have both of those as restricted. Then you have assigned fund balances, and that would be our self-insurance, which was unreserved, designated, now just becomes assigned. And then we have unassigned fund balance, and that's what we're really talking about here. These are over next month, this is what we're really gonna break down. There is an auditor, training in which, Laney Walker will go to. Been in contact with him. He would like to refresh on this. The last time he heard about it was last year. This possibility, he wants to refresh on that and kind of give us some guidance of what they're talking about at the state level, the auditors and all accountants are talking about, of how they would like to see this done, or basically what we are required to do. So we will have some unassigned fund balance that's required. We have to have some sort of unassigned fund balance. I'm anticipating that to be somewhere around anywhere from 1 to 2 months of bills, which we'll break out and do. And so we'll have that on, but we also have to keep in mind that that amount, whatever we put in unassigned, has to float us for cash flow. We cannot go below that level at any given point in the year without y'all coming to y'all first and y'all relieving us from an assigned balance or a restricted balance. We can't come back, we can't use that. For example, the state comes back and says, we do this in August, July, August. State comes back and says, oh, well, we're not gonna give you payments for September or October. Well, we're gonna have the cash flow to make that work, or we're going to have to adjust what we just did. So that's some of the guidance we're continually getting. This does not have to be done. No, nothing has to be changed until August 31st, and if we have to take to August 31st for the board meeting in August to do this, we will. This is just some more information, just kind of getting you used to what was reserved will now be restricted. What was unreserved designated will be assigned, and then you have undesignated, unreserved becomes unassigned. There are two other categories. There's a committed category, which we very well may get into. We can commit things for debt on the M&O side, where this reported in general fund is. We can commit maybe for some debt. We can assign it for some debt. You can assign it for other things. You can assign it for the new bond that you can assign $80,000 to pay that new bond next year. We don't have to use it for that purpose. We can go ahead and budget it in the general fund, but that assigned it, we have 1 year's payment sitting over here assigned for that. And we may never use that assigned balance, but at least it's there, and it's assigned for something, for a particular, and it has to be tangible. We can't just throw it over there for, we're gonna restrict this because we think there's gonna be a circus in town in 2 years. You have to have some purposes for it, and there has to be some documentation backing those things up. So, again, this is just informational. If there's any questions on this, I'll send you, next month we'll have some more guidance and we'll give you that. We may be talking about some specifics that we can put this general fund into. And you can call me if you have an idea, hey, what if we did it for this? I can give you, and we can show those to you next time. And also you have the PowerPoint that we have as far as what all the categories are for, things like that. Any questions?
This sounds to me like state's setting it up to where if you don't have things committed for your money, they're gonna consider that free game. Maybe. Is that
That's
not,
the feeling.
is that the feeling?
That's the feeling, but,
Is it supported by anything, or is that just a fear?
it's a fear really right now. There's no legislation that says, okay, well, now the governor has come out and said in this past week that he says that $12 billion is locked up in school fund balances. So why should we touch the rainy day fund at the state level if y'all have all that money sitting there for y'all? He doesn't understand that's not equally distributed.
Right.
Most of the large districts have most of the bulk of the money. If they did that, they would have to have a plan to do that with. But yes, that's the fear. That is, if you don't designate it for something, but ultimately, it really doesn't matter because on the backside of this, we have to come up with a plan, a spendable plan, meaning first we spend from the committed category, then we'll spend from an assigned category, and then we'll spend from an unassigned category. We have to still have that plan. So they can say, well, your total fund balances overall are the, $1.75 million, just for example. And it doesn't matter if it's restricted or not, we're sending you that much less money. There's no guidance that they would ever do that. But, that is a fear that's out there because there's a faction down there that does not want to use the rainy day fund. And they're saying, well, the school districts, the counties, they have these fund balances that you've built up of money that we've given you in the past. You need to be using that now.
We are every month.
And we are, but they're saying at the end of every year that those balances, the past 3 years, it has not grown. But prior to that, it has grown, you know, so they're saying, well, if they're gonna sit on that, why should we delve out at what we have? It's just what they're saying. The governor mainly is saying that.
And he's running for president?
I think so. In some point in the future. Anyway, but if there's not any questions about that, that's basically all the information I wanted to give you now, just the representation of what it is now and what it will be in the future if we do nothing at all. Of course, we will address everything we have and do the best we can according to the guidelines to take care of our money.
This unassigned, how many months would that represent in our budget?
If we paid for everything, it's close to 3 months. Payroll, I mean, if the state didn't give us any money, it's close
Well,
to 3 months.
that's, my fear is they'll come out and say, anything over 2 months is fair game, or anything over
Very possible.
3 months is fair game.
And that's why we will
Yeah.
set out and say, okay, well, we'll have an unassigned balance of a month and a half.
Okay.
And then everything else, we'll commit for something.
That's what Laney's gonna tell you from his training.
Yes, that's what he's hoping. That's an auditor training. I'm not allowed to go that. I got this training. They have some more in-depth training about the specific categories, uses, what you can and can't do, things like that. So I'm trying to work closely with him just to get all that information.
All right, thanks, Joe. Okay, Mark,
I have a great news tonight. Called Karen Whitaker at Region 8, talked about this, and want to just put a whole new spin on systemic planning. We all have time constraints, we all love this district, but there is not full board participation required. It is ideal but not required. Everyone does get level 3 training for any participation in systemic planning that we do. Level 3 training, which is the highest. You can customize the plan. What's great news is then, you know, we're not asking for the whole board to commit. We're saying, money's out there, we have to do systemic planning, we're ready to move forward as administration. Jim, you can assign a subcommittee, you can just say, if anybody's interested in working with the administration, get after it. I mean, this is great. The Freedoms, Karen Whitaker, who is now the head person over there with this, now that Harvey's gone, spoke to her personally. So it's really up to us. I mean, we're ready to move forward. We know that there's lots on our table, lots on our plate, but, you know, budget, everything, people's time. But again, you know, we were looking at this through one lens where it's all or nothing. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. So, I guess that's good news. I mean, I'm not really, I guess, asking so much for approval, as I'm saying, okay, school board members that might say, hey, I'll take the lead, that's something I really want to be a part of. Others may say, great, keep us posted, keep the information rolling. Let's, let's move on with our district needs. So that's good news. I just wanted to kind of put that out there tonight. So that's really, it's more of an informational item now. Because, I mean, it's been 5 years since we've been to the church and whatnot, in this time. And with the new testing and STAR and all of these things, you know, we know we've got a lot of budget concerns, but we've got a lot of instructional concerns and a lot of, you know, what are our needs as we move forward. So, I think that takes a lot of pressure off, because I could, you know, sense in past meetings, you're saying, hey, you're making it sound like we've got to give our lives to this thing. Well, we don't. That's coming from Karen Whitaker, who's at Region 8, who is pretty much going to be one of our lead people that we're going to sit down and talk with. So that's another completely,
This is something, aren't you guys already doing this kind of assistant thing?
We've done some small components of it. They have some online stuff that we can do for like our campus improvement plan and stuff like that. But we haven't stepped off into it, because I think we talked about it back in September or so, and y'all said y'all wanted to hold off. It really starts with the board. That's where Region 8 wants to start, because they believe that until the board is on board, lack of a better term, couple of things to start working with, or what, some tools to use, but it really starts with the board and the support of the board, and then once that's garnered and approved, then we move forward from there.
I just remember when you had that meeting, y'all were saying you were already working some of those things.
Yeah, it's little things, and we're already doing some of that stuff without Region Eight, but it's satellite.
Right.
It's satellite. It's individual campuses doing individual things.
I see.
So the whole thing behind it being systemic is that we're all doing it.
Yeah, I was just trying to refresh.
Yeah. But I think the last time we talked about it, y'all said y'all wanted to see more of what the legislature was gonna do with finance and stuff like that.
And I guess what I'm saying is, we would like it to be, but if it can't, then I don't think that should stop everything. And I understand ideally where they're coming from, and in a perfect world, that's great. But I don't know, I mean, we have lots of communication here, so there might be some folks that say, hey, I'd like to give more of my time to that. And others serve in other capacities, and so that way you get the best of both worlds. And I agree with Brandon, the point he made, and again, in a perfect umbrella, but I mean, there's a lot going on right now, on a lot of different fronts. But this is an important piece, and we need to move forward strategically, systemically, and there's a vehicle there, and money and dollars that have been paid, and there is a support piece at Region 8 that's ready to help us.
So what,
I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is, it's there. We want to make you aware. We want to move forward. I guess we want your blessing in that sense, but don't know how the board wants to step off with administration from this. Maybe 1 or 2 people, 3 people, a subcommittee,
I just really, felt like the things they talked about were important for us right now, just from the standpoint where we are, that we need help trying to move forward with a lot of things, just because there's a lot of fear and anxiety out there, and it just seems like this, looking at it from a systemic approach, kind of helps alleviate some of that, maybe, but this just was my opinion.
Is there any interest in any board members of being participatory in what Mark's talking about?
I mean, I'd be glad to get involved.
I'm interested.
You're
I
interested
like
in?
a lot about this system planning approach. I like it on a corporate level,
Mhm.
and we did it at the school level. And I felt like some things that resonated with me certainly when they went to country. And if we're gonna set goals and have a plan to move forward, I like the idea of the plan being, that you don't have, that it's the same all the way down through, and it becomes a culture over a period of time. And they talked about this in the own process.
Mhm.
But that when everybody's looking back to the same plan, then everybody's working in the same direction, rather than, so I like it a lot. And if it's a deal where 2 or 3 of us are involved, then great.
And I know he's not here, and I'm not saying this because he's not here, but John did say he would serve in that capacity.
He and I talked about it. And he
Okay.
had interest in it, and I don't know what that means, except that it's what it's to do. But if we want to do a split approach, and it's just something that a few want to be involved in, I think it's good for us. But I would be willing to do part of it if I was the only one.
Well, the only commitment I would want from it is that you 3 guys would come back and give us monthly reports on it. So we could have an idea of what's going on and continue to have buy-in on it.
Just keep the communication going.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with that. Yeah? You guys have any problem with that?
Anybody else, I mean, it's not closed at 2 or 3, but
No.
No.
Again,
Anybody can attend that.
at any point, at any level, I mean,
Well,
if anybody wanted to train.
you may have some rotating people. They may not have enough time to do it, and maybe I'll jump in there for 2 or 3 months to see what's going on.
it'd be a bad one.
That's why I'm saying you need to keep us all up to date. so that we have a working knowledge of what's going on. I mean, that would be able to get our foot in the door and get us started in the process. You know, if all three of you guys get gun-ho on it, you may convince us all to jump in there. All right, well, let's do that then. All right. We have things that we have to talk about in executive session because we're not allowed by law to talk about them in open session. So who are we gonna need in executive session? Oh, wait a minute. Budget shortfall analysis? That doesn't have to be an executive, does it?
Well, it doesn't
No,
really start
unless
with
you're talking
anything.
about personnel.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are,
I
though.
think so. Well, you've got some names on there. I mean, that's up to y'all. If y'all got that information, you can look right at it. I just thought you wanted to look at what
Well,
was
it'd
in
be
there.
easier to talk about it openly. All right, so that means that, who do we want in here for, wait a minute, transfers? Let's do the transfers first, we can get rid of the principals, and then we can do the rest of that. All right,
Closed, open,
we're gonna go into closed,
right now, okay.
but we're still gonna need the principals to do the transfers. Huh?
All the rest of it's administration. They can stay as well.
Huh?
What do we do to close the open session?
We just announced